today I said I wanted to talk about, hey Rashad, you know you gotta call me. It's almost the end of the week. I was gonna talk about, just the love of sobriety, and the things that, the rewards that we get from sobriety, and from being clean, myself as a person who's been in recovery for some time, I received so many awards from this, this lifestyle. And I think it's the best thing that I could have possibly done in my life in order to find myself. Thanks, Rashad. Hey guys, let me tell you all this. We're going up on the billboard. We going. I'm going a little further with this thing. We're going to do a billboard about this this awesome LMNT Awards. So I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. It's Living in My Truth Awards, LNMT Awards. If they can do BET, I can do LNMT Awards. You know what I mean? We're going to do this thing. Hopefully I can get this thing broadcast. We got plenty photographers there. When I say plenty, I mean plenty. We got music, food, fun. You can get some shirts. You can get some of the stuff that I have, now that you guys can buy. Some of the scriptures of recovery, the 12 steps. We got beautiful people who are going to speak. You know what I mean? And when the awards, when you receive the rewards, I hope that it puts you in a spot where you can say, thank you, God. You know what I mean? For giving me this day. You know what I mean? And to feel so good, because all of you deserve it. Every last one of us to come on here. And I thank everybody for showing up every Wednesday, and making this thing happen. I had 2 people walk up to me today, y'all, and I hadn't seen one young lady for a while, and she walked up to me, gave me a hug, and she said, keep that show on, please. If her mother, God forbid, passed, but she said, I knew her mom, and she said, man, I know my mom is just looking at you so proud, and that really touched me today, because I had some time, with her mom, and when she got in recovery, man, she just did the thing, she inspired me so much, for me to stop using drugs, and alcohol. And just seeing her today, I haven't seen her in so long. She feeling it, I'm feeling it, and as I was driving home, I was shedding a couple of tears, feeling it even more, because it was such a beautiful moment, for, people coming up to me and saying, you know what, you're doing a great job, you're helping people. They may not say anything on the live, but you have a lot of people helping. You're helping people in my family, and that was the blessing. That was another one of the rewards, that I'm receiving, just by sharing my strengths and hopes, and getting people on here to do the same thing. So if you're open and you're willing to come on here and share, come on, y'all. It feels good. It feels real good, even the spiritual side of it. Hey, cousin. Thank you. My cousin said God is using me. I really, truly believe that, because I did promise my father that if he would get me clean when I surrendered, from coming out of that war, man, because it was a war, that I would always give this back. And actually, y'all, honestly, I have, ever since that I've been clean. I've been a drug and alcohol counselor for quite some time, very long time. And also TC counselor in the prison, and it's like giving the word and spreading the word and helping people, is just something that my heart just desires. I mean, it desires to do it. I really love, being a recovering person and being a drug and alcohol counselor, and helping people. I had a great group today, at my job. It was just awesome, like people just started sharing and, telling their stories. I mean, it was just like for you guys, it's like being in church. It was so beautiful, and then, walking into these people, in three different places that I've been today, and they come up and say, thank you, keep on doing what you're doing. So I am so blessed to be able to share my blessings with you all, and with this live and helping people, find themselves just by sharing the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and sharing my strengths and hopes. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And hey, look, let's keep coming on and let's keep doing what we do, and after this live is off, y'all share it. You know what I mean? Everybody share it once or twice. You know what I mean? It's just adding more and more and more people on and spread the word. Because there's a lot of us that needs this. There's a lot of us that can relate to this. There's a lot of us that, need, this information, even where they don't see, or didn't see that this information is so important, even to the sociable, drinkers and users. So God blessing us, you know what I mean? Let's keep praying for this to continue, and for as long as I can breathe, as long as I can get up on these Wednesdays, get in here and get on this live, I will do just that. A lot of people is starting to come on because a lot of people is looking for Katanya, Katanya to come on and speak, but I don't know where she's at, and I can't tell you where she's at because I haven't heard from her yet. So let's pray and make hope that nothing happened or nothing went wrong with her, but we're going to keep on going on. Tree says we are living in a dying world and they need to hear how they can get better. So don't stop what you're doing. I'm not, cousin. I'm going to keep on moving because, again, like, this world make me feel like it's the end, like it's coming to the end, And a lot of us still have a lot of praying and asking for forgiveness, and finding ourselves, to do. I pray for everybody. I ain't got to know you nowhere. I pray for the world, so, things can get better. You know what I mean? I'm quite sure all of us who are prayer warriors do that. Hear me out calling myself a prayer warrior. I really feel like I am now. Even though I've been doing this from the day that I've learned and I received my, my sobriety love, So, I'm trying to rearrange words at times. Natalie is on here, y'all, Riviere. She said, you're a walking blessing bestowed onto whoever you come across, and that's real. I'm going to share this with you guys. Natalie is one of my sponsors. I sponsor Natalie, something that I don't do, a lot anymore, but it's just something about this young lady that, I felt, and I felt her sincerity. She reminded me of myself, in my early recovery, and had to tell her slow down a little bit. But you know what? I gave her some directions and some directives, and y'all give Natalie some heart. She's been doing exactly as I asked her to, and God bless you, Nat. Keep on working. It works if you work it. Hey, Gilda, how you doing? Hey, girl, look. Hey, God's blessing. I'm looking beautiful. That's what you're saying. Hey, we all are, man. We don't age. You know how we do. Take care of ourselves and pray. We're going to be all right. Hey, Sophia, what's happening? That's one of our hosts at the Purple Carpet, y'all. And living in my truth. So we'll get together this week. This weekend, like we said. To continue to making this day beautiful for everybody. Rachel Carson, Good evening. Yes, it's so important to me that you doing this. Thank you. I learned a lot to know how to deal with my niece. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? Try to get her to watch the live. You know what I mean? You know what? It's certain ways like how people share. Me, I'm just gut straight to the point. I talk what I walk. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to sound like nobody, be like nobody. You hear that a lot. You know what I mean? You know how when you go into the rooms, you know, and everybody sounds the same, you know, but they're nourishing with information and education. I'm just Tracy Allen, living in her truth. You know what I mean? And I just love, love, love what I do. And I can speak the truth today, you know, and have no shame to it, you know. So I like to help people to understand it in your language. You know what I mean? From our language, you know. And for us, sometimes it's hard to hear, you know, so, you know, even if we're listening because of sometimes how certain things are being shared. So I try to break it down the best I can. You know, I use movies, books, you know, objects, you know, anything that can help me explain, you know, to you, you know, to understand exactly what I'm saying and to see the picture, you know. Recovery is not easy. Recovery is hard, you know, and it takes us through a whole lot of ups and downs and roller coaster rides to get, you know, even where I'm at today. And it never stops, you know. It's just that learning how to be aware of disease, DIS/EASE, to understand DISEASE, you know, it's just like two different things. You know, you have to learn, you know, what dis-ease means, what it feels like, how it works, what it do. You know what I mean? You know that it's there. If you don't know how something works, how can you work on it or how can you fix it? You know, if the mass of disease is so strong that allow you to sit down and listen and you really don't hear nothing, you know, you're not going to see nothing. You're not going to get what you need to fix the problem. You know what I mean? Or, you know, challenge the problem. Because see, us, we challenge sickness, you know, because sickness challenge us with demand. You know what I mean? So we have to fight back and challenge back, and the best man win. You know, so you got to learn the tools, the uppercuts, the rights, the lefts, and everything, how to fight this sickness, because that's how cunning, baffling, and powerful it is. You know what I mean? And you have to learn how it works. You know, now what works for me, again, I say, may not work for the next, but I know disease don't work no different than any of us. I know that. And so however we get the word out to explain how this thing works, that's going to work and help somebody. If I can't help somebody with my style, you can help somebody with yours. There's no competition. You know what I mean? It's no, you know, who sounds the best. You know, it's just being your authentic self, telling the truth, living in the truth. That's how I see it, you know, for me. And you know, I'm on the eye, y'all. I do what I do. You know, so not only I can do this, all of us can do this who's in recovery. You know what I mean? So, and if not, we can just join together as we have been, and you hear and see on this platform that it's helping people. You know, like I said, I think technology was one of the best ways to come on here and do this thing, you know, versus, you know, in the rooms and everything. Hey, Erica, love you. You know, so, you know, help me share this with people, you know, spread the word, tell them that, you know, is something that you may need to, you can hear, you know, Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. I wish I could do more, you know, and maybe in the future I will, but I want us to enjoy this and look forward to this, you know, weekly, because I'm trying to get this where I can just make it stronger, 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 and better and better and better. You know, and everybody that knows me, you know, once I put this head together, you know what I mean, and get that picture and play that picture out, you know, I'm going there. You know what I'm saying? You know, I have had so much great help, you know, and everything with this anniversary that we get ready to have, y'all, you know, and TK made it happen. I'm telling you, they the best, boy. You're going to see a lot of different sponsorees like them, you know, information and stuff at the anniversary. You know, they're on Philadelphia Pipe. You know what I'm saying? And they can do anything. When I say anything, I mean anything. If you need anything done, from cards, from bouquets, from backdrops, from just pictures, from T-shirts, from any animation type thing, 3D type thing. I mean, they the bomb. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna see their work. You're gonna see a lot of their work. You know, at the Purple Carpet event. You know, I want y'all to check them out, give them a play. You know, with their business, they young black women, they young. You know what I mean? And they doing it. They doing it. They giving us what we couldn't even get, you know, before. You know, giving us, you know, better quality, better, you know, everything that Amazon can do. What Amazon can do, so can they. So let's check them out, y'all. It's called TK Made It Happen. You know, again, baby girls, if you on here, put your information on the comments so people can see it. You know, I wanted to shout them out because y'all know my brain lose track of stuff sometimes. And I said today, I'm going to get that out. You know what I mean? But I'm not really talking about it today. You're going to see it Saturday, next Saturday, June 28th. You know, these girls are fantastic. You know, along with one of my besties, Lori. You know what I mean? We got engines that's going in here, y'all, to make this thing real beautiful, you know, for you guys. And beautiful it's going to be, you know. So, I mean, give them some hearts, y'all, and let them, you know, give them a play. You know, check them out, you know, go on their website, you know, and see all this fantastic work. Man, they cover coffins. I mean, it ain't nothing that they don't do. Car windows, you know, business size, everything. It's nothing that they don't do, okay? And they're doing a lot of things that, you know, Chester didn't have access to, you know. So give them a play, y'all, and check them out, you know, and just, you know that, you know, they're doing, you know, some real big things. Back to what I was saying about the, hey Mo, back to what I was saying, and Regina, back to what I was saying about, you know, the rewards. Hey Norman, I ain't seen you in a minute. You know, I want you to come to the Purple Carpet, Norman. Teresa said, thank you so much. Somebody said, thank you so much, Teresa. We in this together to get better. Absolutely. Absolutely, y'all. Absolutely. We have to be a one when it comes to this. You know, that's what recovery is about. It's about a one. You know, everybody being together and being able to communicate, you know what I mean? Love on each other, respect each other, not look at each other all strange and crazy. Because, you know, devil bring all that kind of stuff and stuff. You know, it's not wanted here. I just don't want none of that. You know, I want you to know that, you know, love is here. Love is sitting right in front of you. You know what I mean? All those beautiful comments to come on here is love, and it's considered family to me. So let's get more and more people to join our family. You know what I mean? And know that you don't have to worry about a thing. You know, because if we can come on here and talk about what we talk about, hey, other people will start feeling that exactly. You know, again, I have a lot of people telling me that. You know, wow, I would have never, you know, I'd have been scared to come on there. I said, for what? All you guys, it's called acceptance. You know what I mean? What I did is what I did, is what I do today that matters. You know what I mean? That matters too, because now that is my medication not to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Long as I say one word, two letters, one syllable, and that's no, you know, no just have to mean no by any means necessary. You know, it's not, oh, I hear the same thing all the time. Well, you better listen all the time because you need it all the time. You know, it's no cure for what we have. You know, this is a life-going thing. This has been a self-inflicted disease that has messed with our subconscious mind and became a part of us. You know what I'm saying? The poison is powerful. You know, the disease is cunning, babbling, and powerful. And it plays with you. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people who think that it's over once you get strong, once you get better, once you get wiser. Hey, look, know that it's there. You know, some don't want, you know, to continue, you know, to do the work. But you have to do the work. You know, because disease will creep back up on you and let you know that it's still there, one way or the other. If it has to go through using, and it's going to definitely come through the thinking. It's going to come through the emotions. You know what I mean? It's going to come through everything it took from you. You know what I mean? It's going to break your puzzle up one way or the other if you don't acknowledge that it's there and it's there forever. You know, and some people disagree with that, but guess what? My 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous, who I truly believe in, taught me that. The NA book, it taught me that. It gave me suggestions to allow me to make sense of what the thing was saying. You know what I mean? And I believe it. You know, and I see it. That's the most important thing. Seeing is believing. And then feeling and going through some of these roller coaster rides and what I was just speaking on and talking about. Y'all know I start talking, I'll be talking all over the place somewhere, but I mean every thing that I'm saying, and everything connects because it's the puzzle, the pieces that puts together that sometimes I might jump to, but I know what I'm saying. Believe that. And I know I can come back to whatever I said from the beginning all the way back to here. And it may not come the same way that I brought it the first time, but it's going to come. It's going to come in different flavors and different ways. You know what I mean? So, because we got all kinds of people that's listening to this that may not catch what I said, how I said it this way, but they caught it this way. You know what I mean? Same for in, you know, some of the scriptures and different things I catch, you know, from different pastors or different people or my sisters and them that's speaking, you know, from the scriptures, and I'll read it and can't get it, but I can hear it when they say it and I capture it. You know what I'm saying? You know, so what works for one may not work for the other. But we need to always know and recognize the fact that, you know, when you get this sickness that we have, this disease that we have, this disease is a lifetime. You know, this is why it's called relapse. This is why people, you know, relapse, and they allow you to know that you have to come to trust in that when you relapse and you go back, it gets worse every time. I see it. I see it. I see it all the time, you know? So it ain't no doubt in my mind that this thing is not for life. You know what I mean? It's no doubt in my mind that this thing is going to ever leave me. You know, hey, she's in remission. That's Trey, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand a little hussy. You know what I mean? But I got to live with her. You know, and for as long as I practice and take my medication called the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous, you know what I mean? And I pray and my higher power, and I believe in my higher power, she can't touch me. She can't touch this because I got the ingredient now, and I got the power of the antibiotic for her called no. And no means no, again, by any means necessary. By any means necessary. You know, I can't play with her. I can't have her over for lunch. You know what I mean? I can't go out and party with her. You know, I can't have her, you know, just do whatever she want to do with me. Now I got to keep her in check. You know, no means no. I don't want you at any given time. But I know you're there. You know, I know you're going to always be there. I know because she allows me to know. She comes in my sleep. She comes in my thoughts. She comes through my son. She comes through my mom. You know what I mean? She comes through you sometimes. You follow? Just like, you know, I look at all this messing up on the screen, you know, and all this stuff. I blame everything on her. You know, it's disease. It always want to knock me out my game. You know what I mean? When I'm trying to give you some gain. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it beats me up, you know, but I'm going to shake it off. You know what I mean? I'm going to use my information and education that I have to do my best at all in keeping this thing down. You know, and not going back to her thinking that I can socialize with her or think that we can do it another way. You know what I mean? Or I can, you know, kind of hang here, or, you know, I might be thinking a little nutty or wacky. You know, I can't give her nothing. She gets no attention from me. The only thing that this sickness gets from me is no. And no means no. And I'm going to always keep her in front of me, not behind me, not on the side of me. You understand? It's going to be right here. right here where I can feel her, see her, and know her. You know, because I look in that mirror and I see Tracy, but I also know that Trey is up in there too. You know, so yes, it's work. You know, it's coming to believe. It's understanding how she works. You know, so for me, I name her. You know, I know it's disease. You know, I just put the name on her, Trey. She's a beast. You know what I mean? She's horrible. You follow? She's weak. You know, she's strong on top of being weak. She makes me weak. Put it that way. You know, she's a beast. And you have to understand that, and you have to know that, you know, in order to stay clean. I'm freestyling a little bit on this thing because that's how it works for me, you know, and that's how I see disease, you know, and I'm just sharing with you, you know, because some of you see me out there, some of you I got high with, some of you, you know, heard my story, you know, and most of you, all of you heard a lot of my story, if not some of my story. You know, stories never stop because it was so much being done in so little time of a day. I mean, it just goes like this, and you just do a million things. You do all the unnecessary things or the things that you wouldn't think that you would do. You know what I mean? And you don't even think about it, man. The higher you get, the more hungry you get, the worse things come to you in life to do. You know, and the hunger is so deeply painful. You know what I'm saying? You got to do something. You got to make this thing happen. You got to feed Trey. You know, I have to feed her, you know, because she hollering to me, feed me and feed me now. And I don't care what you got to do. Get it. Get it. So pull out all the I would never do this and pull out all the, you know, I would never let that happen to me because guess what? Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And believe me, if you get high, you abuse drugs and alcohol, you're going to do just what it do, just like it do anybody else that abuse it too. You know, may not be as quick, may not be as much, but keep using and keep drugging, it's going to do that. You know, but most importantly, it's going to take you 3 places, jails, institutions, or death. And we all see this. We all see this in our people, you know, suffering. We all know a lot of our friends and families who have already lost their lives, you know what I mean, from this beast, you know, and that still won't make some of us stop using. That still won't make some of us see the madness of drugs and alcohol. You know, we still look for it for a cover so we can, you know, help us cope. That's what we think that it does, help us cope. But you know what? To an extent, once you become addicted and you become hungry, you know, for the drug, it do help you cope. I was asked that today, you know, and it was like, well, I do. Drugs help me cope. It helps me, you know, not to hurt or not to have pain. You know, I said that makes a lot of sense. I said, but the most sense of it all that you're missing is that you're dying. You're killing yourself. You know, you're feeding yourself more and more and more of this drug, you know, that is eventually going to take you out. You know, that is eventually going to eat your heart up. It's going to eat your liver up. It's going to eat up your intestines. It's going to tear you up inside, and you're not even going to feel it happening, why it's happening. You know what I mean? Because the mental part of it that coming from the subconscious mind got you all blocked out, you know, where it ain't going to allow you to know that that's happening. It's not going to allow you to think that that's happening because the sickness of disease will apply pain to you so deep, you know what I mean, that you have to do what it says do just to get that little comfort for a couple seconds, you know, and you don't even realize it's a couple seconds, you know, that you get this comfort once you feed yourself the drug or feed yourself the alcohol, and then you're running. You're just running, wasting, dying. I have to say it like that because it's the truth. You know, and like I said, this is a silent, slow killer. It don't care. You know what I mean? It don't care. It don't want you to feel what it's doing. It just wants you to feel the pain to keep giving yourself the poison to die. Crazy. This thing is crazy. Hey, Carolyn, how you doing? And Adrian, how are you? You know, y'all, I know I'm crazy. I always talk and pop up and see some names, and I'm starting to shout out. I enjoy that, though. I do, you know. I was also told y'all that, you know, the way that I do this live, you know, it can be better. Hey, this live is great as far as I'm concerned. It's better from the first day that I started it. You know what I mean? It seemed to be getting the word out and the message out. You know what I'm saying? As long as I can do that, that's what I'm grateful for. You know, even when I told y'all about this, what you call it? Send me stars thing, man. I'm not interested in this star thing, man. You know, it's just, it's complicated, difficult. You know what I mean? You gotta pay, you know, not you, but me. You know what I'm saying? You know, nothing's free, you know, on this thing at all, but information. You know what I'm saying? So I don't try to tie myself around all those things no more. You know, God told me to stay focused on what I came on here for, and that's to give the word and give information and education on disease that is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know, and in time that can happen, you know, it will. But as far as me to take my, you know, my mind off of what the purpose is to come on here, like recovery costs me nothing. You know, people gave me this free. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want people to have to, you know, send me no stars, you know, like I'm paying for this information. This information is from the heart. You know what I mean? And I know those type of things can help build this up, you know, a little bit more. But when it's time, it's time. You know what I'm saying? You know, so for me, I try not to focus on all of that. I just try to focus on helping you guys and bringing people on, and let's have a meeting right here in our living rooms or wherever we at. You can be in the car, you can be, you know, in a tub. I don't care where you at. You know, this technology thing can it's good. You know, and if you want it, you can get it. You know, hi, Dawn. I'm sorry I missed your name. I just realized I said, hey, Carol. That's one of my besties from Little Girls. I love her to death, you know. But, and Miss Rosetta, how you doing? I do have your tickets. They'll be at the door. Each one teach one. That's right, Norm. That's right. Each one teach one, is no doubt about it. Let me ask you a question. Are you in recovery? Because you give a lot of good comments when you on here, and it makes me feel like you've been there. You know, sometimes people can, you know, share, and I can kind of feel or sense that this is a recovering person that's talking to me. Then it's just, you know, your heart is so good. You know what I mean? As a good listener and just as a caring person to help somebody and based off your religion. You know what I'm saying? Because recovery is based off a religious program, you know, to be pretty much honest, you know, about everything. But you always give, you say something that always, you know, touch home base with me. You know, I wanted to share that with you, you know. And Teresa, you said this together to get better. Yes. You know, I'm going to send y'all some hearts because I appreciate you guys. You know, I appreciate you guys a whole lot. Hey, honorees, I'm telling you, y'all, are y'all excited? Show me some hearts if you're excited. You know, it's going to be so beautiful. And I'm just not talking. I'm just so excited about it, to be honest. That's why I just keep talking about it and keep talking about it, because I think it's something that we deserve. You know, I think it's something that we earned. You know, you earn every bit of this love that's coming to you. You know, and we give. You know, when we share. You know, and I mean, to receive something for your courage, you know, and for your love for other people, you know, I know that just has to feel good. You know what I'm saying? I've never even received anything, you know, from, you know, all my years in recovery, except the love and the respect and the, you know, thank yous to me is like $1 million. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, to be given something that stands for you, you know, I think it's just beautiful. I do. And I hope you feel the same way when you receive your award. your LNMT award. I got to get used to saying it because I'm going to keep that going too, y'all. I'm telling you. You know, so, I mean, get there on time too, y'all, because I got door prize, all that kind of stuff, you know, that's going to go on. You know, try to share a little bit of love and happiness with everybody, you know. But I always say, you know, when I talk about, you know, people like us, you know, and I always say, you know, people don't understand us, you know, they're not like us, so they wouldn't. You know, they look at us like we are crazy, or, you know, we out of control, which we are. Don't get me wrong, which we are, you know. And but the most things I hear people say most of the time is, man, they done. They ain't coming out of that just because what it turned us into and what we look like. You know, that's not true, because inside of all that, what we look like is you. It's a heart, it's a goal, it's a person who's asking for help, crying for help, but just can't think it to say it because the sickness won't allow you to. You know, it'll keep you mean, it'll keep you angry, it'll keep you hurt. You know what I mean? Even when you asking for help, you know what I mean? You just don't have it in you to receive it or get it. I see that a lot. You know, I see disease at work in so many people today, and so many people through my years of recovery, you know, and years of being a drug and alcohol counselor. You know what I mean? I just see it so crazy, and how it comes and what it do, and the brain change, you know what I mean, and the heart change, you know, and the wanting it, and then go back like nothing's happening. You know, the insanity of it is insidious. It's really a sick situation. But you are still inside there. You're still inside that tunnel. You're just stuck. You know what I mean? Wanting to get out, to come out, takes work, but you can. You know, I want to always say that. You can. You know what I mean? You can get your life back together. Not easy, but it can happen. Trust me, I'm living proof. It can happen. A lot of you on here are also living proof. It can happen. We got to share these stories and spread these words to help the still sick and suffering, you know, out there that don't think that it can, or have family members understand that it can. You know, we may want the best for them, but they do not feel that. You know, they can't see that yet. You know what I mean? And they're struggling. They're struggling in every way. We struggle when we need to get dope to please the pain and the suffering that we go through. We struggle real hard. That is the worst of the worst. We also struggle to find ourselves again, to admit that we are powerless over drugs and alcohol. We struggle to tell the truth. Okay? We struggle to be able to listen. We struggle to even able to hear. You know, we struggle with seeing it because we don't want to see it, because the sight of it is horrible. The sight of being a junkie, the sight of being an alcoholic is pain. It's fear. Fear is the biggest. It's fear. We don't know how we can live without this drug. They're suffering. They have no information. They have no education because they never knew how to listen. I don't care if they went to rehab 37 times. We get that. Oh, they've been through rehabs a whole lot of times and still ain't got it yet. We struggle. We struggle real bad. And with these drugs that they have today, hey, y'all, they done took it to Jupiter. You know, they used to say, that chick up on the moon. Well, we up in Jupiter now. We walking in Mars. We burning. We burning. We walking in Mars. We dropping dead left and right through these things. With these drugs. We burning. We got to help save our people. We got to get the word out there. We have to keep this information flowing. Because something this simple as alive can help them. Something this simple as alive can help them. I truly believe that. You know, I really do. And thank you, Erica. You know, and my girl Dar, you know, your deliverance is real and raw. Thank you, sister. You know, Dar, we know. You know what I'm saying? We know. Me and you share times together. You know what I mean? We done came up around a whole bunch of stuff. You follow what I'm saying? But God blessed us today, and look at us now. You know what I mean? Let's spread this. Let's help other people. You know, I'm so grateful that you're even on this live, and you roll with me just like we always rolled. You know what I mean? You know, when I see, you know, people like yourself, you know, good friends of mine, you know, and I see you on this live, man, it makes me feel so good, man. It makes me feel, you know, that my friend is still my friend, you know, even though we're not around each other like we used to be. But every time we see each other, we, bump into love is still always there. I love feeling that. I love feeling that love, you know. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. You know, I love all of you that come on here, you know, and support me like this, and support, you know, the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today. You know, they said, you know, when I got clean, that, you know, I had to start loving me first, you know, so I can have enough love for others. And that's the truth. It really is. You know, they also said that, you know, to love me first it will be looked at as selfish. You know what I mean? And guess what? You know what I'm saying? It is selfish. You know, it has to be selfish to love you, you know, first before people, places, and things, but you put God at the very top. You know what I'm saying? And when you receive that, and you receive that love, you know, from God, you know, our higher power, it just allows you to love yourself, you know, because he has restored your sanity. You know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form, you know? Oh, man, I love that, you know, and I could feel that, you know, and I've been feeling that, you know, for quite some time, putting God first. I used to listen to y'all people when they used to say, I put God first, and, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm looking at what they do like, you don't look like you do it to me, you know what I mean? But you never know what people go through. You never know, you know, how people receive it, you know, and now I do know, you know, has to be first, you know, especially in this life. You know, I'm really saying any life, just living. You know what I'm saying? Just living. You know, but to me, it was a challenge. It just wasn't believed. You know, but today, by all means, period. You know, I feel so good that I found him, you know, and I can talk to him and know that I'm not crazy. You know, like I'm talking to, you know, the ceiling or something. You know, I pray all the time, and it don't even have to be down on my knees. You know what I mean? I pray all the time, y'all. I do. I pray all the time that I ask my higher power to just help keep me clean. You know, and just help me get through a day. You know, I'm not cocky about, you know, having years clean. You know, I learn to live, you know, one day at a time. You know, and take my time and continue to take my time. You know, because I'm not in a rush to anything. You know what I mean? I just learned how to live daily, you know, and I learned how to pray daily, you know, and it's working. And it's been working for quite some time. So, you know, the strong belief in it is like no other, you know. So this is what a lot of us who are still using and who are addicts can't get a grip to. You know what I mean? Because we can't feel, you know, the truth in ourselves. We can't feel like that really works, you know, because disease is always blocking something to make you, you know, not trust it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you got to fight hard, and you got to push hard, you know, and you have to keep just saying, you know, when that conscious talk to you, you know, no, I'm not listening. You know what I mean? And just start, you know, saying that serenity prayer. You know what I mean? God has granted me the serenity, you know what I mean, to accept things I can't change, you know? And if you there, you there. You keep saying it. God is giving me the serenity to accept, you know, Accepting is the key as well. You have to be able to accept these things. You know what I mean? You have to be able to accept the truth because you live the lie. You know, and the lie is so strong that the truth can't creep in, and it becomes pain. It becomes frustration. It becomes anger. You know what I'm saying? It becomes, you know, nah, you know, I'm good. You know what I mean? Dig deeper. Dig deeper. Because there's a whole lot of digging that you're going to have to do. I'm still digging. It's a whole lot of digging that you're going to have to do, you know, to defeat this sickness. You know, think you have to go through everything. I'm still getting to some things, y'all. When I was on here a couple months ago, you know, I was telling y'all I can't tell you, you know, what was going on with me because it was other people involved, you know, and I prayed and I prayed. Disease was beating me up real hard. It was trying to tear me down. You know what I mean? Because it all was a shock to me. You know, but today, you know, I had to live in that God to come to the understanding that it happened. You know what I mean? And I was just pretty much a kid. You know, 17, 18, 19, you still a daggone kid. You know, and with no upbringing on life, on, you know, men or your boyfriends. Y'all know back in the day, we did all kinds of stuff. We love these guys. You know what I'm saying? And every project had a Michael Jackson, and every street had a Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? And, you know, everybody had this group of men and the guys that we all like. A lot of them was brought up without no daggone fathers, you know what I mean? So they just did a lot of things that they did too and became fathers from different women, you know what I mean? And it ended up being one night stands. Well, that's what happened to me. You know what I mean? You see these things and you don't think that they can happen to you. And being in a small place like Chester where we live at, you know what I mean? Hey, look, half of Chester probably related. That's all I'm going to say about this. You know what I'm saying? Because as a young girl in my generation, you know, it wasn't that simple to be known. It wasn't that simple to be looked at. It wasn't that simple to be, you know, that girl. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance was always there. You had to be skinny with long hair, you know, or you had to have hips and butt, you know, like you do today. You know, things change. You know, being out here in society, there it is, that word society. Being in society is a struggle, you know, with some people. I'm not saying everybody, but the ones of us who needed to be out there, the ones of us who wanted to be looked at, the ones of us who became these girls that these guys wanted us to be. We didn't want to feel left out. I know I didn't. I didn't want to feel like I wasn't pretty. You know what I mean? Hell, I used my bow legs for years. You know what I'm saying? You know, and thinking, you know, smoking weed, you know what I'm saying, and all that crap, you know, what I was doing. And I end up finding out that I have a child that's not the father that I thought it was. You know what I mean? At 65 years old. You follow? You know, my child's a grown man, an awesome dad, a great grandfather. You know, he's a grandfather. What I mean is he's an awesome dad, awesome grandfather. He's an awesome son. You know what I'm saying? But he still had to go through this. You know what I mean? And find out that his alleged father wasn't his father. That's what he called it now, the alleged father. You know what I mean? And it was painful. It hurt because I was in disbelief. You know, me and the alleged father, we were both in disbelief, but it was true, you know? So, it hurted. It hurt me to see my baby hurt. You know what I mean? And then I couldn't think of who, why, you know, when that happened. I just couldn't go back that far and pinpoint it. I just couldn't. You know, because the pain, and it gave disease some leverage. So disease was making me very angry. Disease was making me in disbelief. That's who I blame it all on. Disease wouldn't allow me to accept it. You know what I mean? And I know I have to accept things that I can't change. You know what I mean? But I wasn't feeling that at that particular moment. I wasn't trying to hear that crap. Ain't no accepting nothing. You know what I mean? So it had me throwing my love, my words, my medication to the side and throwing it away, you know, and I had to share it, but I couldn't share it. So I went on and shared it anyway. I shared it with someone who's very close to me, you know, and they gave me the feedback that I needed. You know, and allow me to know that the devil is just trying to work on me, you know, but I have to accept the truth of what it is, you know. And reason how we found the truth was through ancestry and Swabbit, you know, and it is what it is. It was what it was. I mean, right now, I feel like I feel joy from it. You know, now, you know, because I gave it to who? My God. I gave it to my God because I couldn't do anymore. You know, I couldn't hurt anymore and I couldn't get sicker anymore, you know, from even being sick, you know, and I trust in God. And I said, I have to turn this over with the help from sharing it, you know, and getting the proper feedback that I needed. You know what I mean? And, you know, I have a forgiving God, you know what I mean? And my son, as well as myself and his father, you know, we know his father, you know what I mean? And it's in the open, you know what I mean? And we all doing what we gotta do to keep it together. And it's turning out happily ever after, to be honest with you, in my eyes, you know, and heart to see. And I'm happy for that. I really am. I'm happy for that. I'm not concerned about what people say or, you know, how they'll look at this, you know, and all. It is what it is. It happened. You know what I mean? But God stepped right in the way and he did the connecting to the dots and he fixed it. You follow what I'm saying? And I am happy with that. I am happy that my son now knows, you know what I mean? And I am happy that we all can move on and live happily ever after. I can't be judged by it because I didn't know it my damn self. You follow what I'm saying? And I won't accept that. Like I said, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names don't hurt me today. You know, because I have a forgiving God and I was just a kid. You know what I mean? Just out there trying to do what she do. You know what I mean? And that happened. I'd have never known. I'd have never known if it wasn't for my son's feelings. You know, so I told you guys that I will come on and share what I can with you guys about that. And I feel good talking about it. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, I have to accept it. He has to accept it. The father has to accept it. And the alleged dad has to accept it. And we all have, you know, and life goes on, you know, and I feel very, very, very relieved, you know, that my son has his truth, you know, because I'm all about living in my truth, you know, and I'm not hiding behind nothing. I'm not hiding behind no, she said, he said, or you heard, or any of this. I mean, a lot of us know all the things that we did back in the day. You know what I mean? And we suppress them, bury them, forget about them. You know, but some things we did, we made mistakes, you know, and now, you know, being at, you know, almost being 65 years old, you know, it's coming to light. You know what I mean? So I can't, you know, act as if I did something deliberately. You know what I mean? I did it unknowingly. You know, anytime it took this long for something to come up like that, you know, it was a straight up, you know, shocker or breaker. I didn't keep my son's father from him. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not built like that. You know, my father used to step off from me. You know what I mean? Disown me. You know what I mean? We all been through these, some of us been through these type of things. And I would have never taken my kids through something like that. You know, I was for sure, that's who I knew was his father. You know what I mean? And his father felt the same way. You know what I'm saying? But one day, all because of that stinking behind drugs, weed is drugs, didn't use weed as no medicine. We use weed to get high. And I had the nerve to drink the Mad Dog 2020. You follow what I'm saying? And I had sex. Never thought of it again. And 65 years later, this came to me. You know, so I had to surrender, think hard, and work it out with my son. And I did the best that I could, and he did the best that he could. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, my son is determined. We found this man in 15 minutes when he said the name. And guess what? Came right back to me. Pop! Just like that. You follow? And we all talked. And I'm just grateful that God did this in peace. You know what I mean? I'm grateful that, you know, it has come out in the open because I'd have never known, and neither would he, and neither would the alleged father. You know? So I feel like God knew that this had to happen. You know what I'm saying? And he took my son's anger away. He took his resentments away. You know what I mean? And I might have took pain from it, and it hurt me because I just didn't know. You know, but the truth is now setting me free. And it's setting my son free and all of us, you know, so we can move on with our lives and do what we suppose, you know, do what we have to do. You know, so I'm only saying this to say that, you know, God has given me the strength to accept the things that I cannot change, you know, and now change the things that I can with the wisdom to know the difference. I mean, that has pulled me through that whole situation as it pulled me through many situations. You know, I say this prayer every day, all day, you know, especially when something gets in my way, you know, and like, you know, telling my children the truth and, you know, being honest with you and being honest with anybody is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? I don't want you to hear about it because I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying, to the ones who I love who deserve to hear it. You know, but I share it because there's so many of us that are dealing with this same situation. You follow what I'm saying? This same situation. It has come to me from people, and I'm like, boy, I'm so glad I ain't got to deal with nothing like that. And look what happened. You know, so we just never need to say never. You know what I mean? And always, you know, try to be willing and open and honest about things, you know, and it don't hurt as bad, you know, especially when you know that you're telling your truth, you know. So I just wanted to share that as well today because that's just how I'm feeling, you know. And I love my son, you know what I mean. I love him so much, and all my children, you know what I mean. And all we really want to do is see them happy. I don't want to see them the way I came up. You know, we just want to see them happy, even when they can't feel that that's what we really want, you know, or that's what we really do, you know. Again, be tight as I don't know what, but the heart knows all. You know what I'm saying? The heart knows all, you know, and I've learned that, and that's another thing I've learned, you know, through living in my truth, you know. So I'm not angry no more. I'm aware, you know what I'm saying, and I gave it to God, y'all, and I'm telling you, that man, I'm telling you, is just phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal, you know what I mean, and when he says just give it to him, he look, he's going to take care of it. But when you give it, you got to give it, and you have to wait to see the results of what he's going to get back and how it's going to get fixed, you know. Doesn't matter how long. He's coming. You know, it's going to happen. Thanks everybody, you know, for having patience and being on, you know what I mean, and listening to me and some of my shenanigans, you know what I mean. And hey Frank, I didn't see you, bruh. Robin, hey Elsie girl, I ain't seen you. You know, Marion, thanks for being on. Debbie Williams, hey babe. Another friend coming up. Chanel, how you doing, sister-in-law? Angel, how are you? Natalie said, I just learned to counter the negative thoughts with the positive affirmations. Go ahead, girl. Over and over again until the positive thoughts became more inner voice. Girl, that's beautiful. That is so awesome. You are the bomb. You hear me, girl? You are the bomb. Hey, Wanda. Just going through some of the names. I'm glad you caught it back on, Lauren. That's my girl from work. Lauren is saying, wow, that's powerful. Hey, sis. What's up, sis? My sister Hud. Hey, daughter. Anya, my daughter-in-law. Veneer, how you doing, babe? I was looking for you. Diane said, God is good, and he knows all. Love, you are love, and F-O-E. Hud, you know not to send me daggone FOEs and all that kind of stuff. I don't even know what they mean. But I know it's meaning something else. And Morty, I know you're going to kill me. I am coming, I promise you. Tanira, hey, baby girl. Thanks, Lauren. You're saying that's beautiful. My sister Hud is always there by my side. I love her so much. You know what I mean? That's my homie, y'all. My homie Skoom Boom. You know what I mean? If I can call, and she'll be there in a heartbeat. Natalie, your family is covered in God's protection, and you brought your peace, and this story is powerful and beautiful. It's already done. But God, sis, I love you. I know, you know what I mean? And I feel good. It lifts a lot of weight up off of all of us. You know what I'm saying? Especially me. To be able to share it. And I brought that out because, the weight is lifted, at this point for me. It's definitely lifted. You know what I mean? And I'm not angry at myself anymore, and I'm not ashamed of myself in any given way, because I know that little girl at 17 years old, was still just a little girl, who haven't had the do's, the don'ts, and the bring up of being that, y'all know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? All my sisters was just way older than me, and they were doing their own thing. My mother worked hard. You know what I'm saying? So society pretty much brought me up, like I share in my story, and I accept that. You know what I mean? But look at me now. Look at me today. I am so in love with myself. I am so proud of myself. I am happy. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not mad about it anymore. I just thank God that he brought it to light, for my baby, and for the weight to be lifted, like I said, when you dig deep, you got to dig real deep, and you don't know what's going to come up, because some things have been so suppressed that you don't even realize that they were there. It was like a situation like that for me, but it's all good. Again, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I thank everybody who supported me and supported me strongly, was just God's doing. It was his work, and for everything everybody said to me that made sense. I'm going to say that, you know what I mean? Made sense, and I appreciate you, just for the time of listening and giving me, positive feedback, and it's just a loving thing. It's a wonderful thing. I know time is moving on, y'all, and I know I came on because of the technology, a little crazy, you know what I mean? And I know I said a lot of everything, pretty much, you know what I mean? But I hope all of what was said can be helped and used, by anybody who's suffering from any of the things that I've talked about today, and who got an enlightenment from any of the things of our discussions today. You know what I mean? So everybody, like, stay, baby girl, you're not alone. You know what I mean? I really wanted to say that when you was on here, but I just wanted to keep, you know, just say it when the time was right for me, you know, and, you know, because I put myself down that night to bring you up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we do for each other, you know, and anybody else who's looking, you know, dealing in any type of situation like that. Cousin, hey Sheila and Patrice, you know, you said you look at you now. Cousin, I love you. Yeah, you know, I love you too, because you help me so much all the time. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you. You know, you ready for the purple cover? Hey, look, y'all, I want everybody to be sharp. You know what I'm saying? Again, I just want everybody to be sharp. If you're excited, y'all, hit that heart button so I can see. I asked y'all to hit that heart button. I used to get my heart and my love all the time. Well, I want it back. Hit that heart button and let me know you here. Let me know you just excited as I am. You know, let me know that you on this live. There they go. Let me know that you on this live. You know what I'm saying? You know, I look forward to them hearts. I still love my hearts. Don't get it twisted, because I've been, you know, representing, living in my truth. Well, that heart is still there because it's right here. You follow? Let's give them hearts up. You know what I mean? And share this live tonight. My sister Hud said, you know that I'm very proud of you. You can only get better. You can climb those stairs and never look down because God got you. Absolutely, sis. You taught me that as well. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful for y'all. I really am. I'm so grateful that you're my sister. You know what I mean? And you have that God in you, and I love it. You know what I mean? And it teaches me, my cousin Treese, Michelle, you know, she'll, you know, y'all all just, you know, help me get stronger with that point of my life, you know, but I'm there. Hey, Sheila Jones, how are you? You know, Inez, what's up, my sister, Inez, and my daughter-in-law, Sonia. I love you, girl. You know, I love her so much. You know, Smiley Pierce, thank you for being on. Nina, thanks for coming on, baby. I love you, girl. And my girl, you know, who's that? Oh, Chanel. I got to that point, you know, I like to go down and scroll so I don't miss nobody. I try not to miss anybody, you know. But y'all, thanks for putting up with this this live thing. You know what I mean? I had no control of it, so evidently it was the internet. You know, it wasn't something that I did. You know, pray for Catania, y'all, because I don't know what's going on. You know, as far as her, you know, wanting to be on the show, and I advertised her, you know, to be on the show. I'm just going to pray and hope that everything is good with her. You know what I mean? And when she get that time and she's ready, she's not even on the live on this side, you know, and it kind of like making me think, you know, or feel like something's in her way. You know what I mean? But let's pray anyway. We're going to pray for her anyway. You know, and when she's ready and she can, she will be. You know, that's for anybody. I do have an awesome speaker too that's going to come on next week. You know, when I tell you all these speakers is coming, it's because they asked to come, a lot of them. And some I asked to come, you know, and if they make the agreement to come on, you know what I mean? The responsibility comes from them to get here or to let me know, you know, that something is in a way. It's okay. You know what I mean? Because we always have something to talk about and conversate about, you know, and you guys can send me a topic, you know, you guys can talk to me as well as I'm talking to you. I see everything you write and you hear everything I'm saying. You know what I mean? So, you know, don't hesitate. You know, if it's something going on with you today, you know, and you need to share and you need to talk and you need feedback. Hey, that's what we on here for. That's exactly what we on here for. You know, don't be afraid to open up. You know what I mean? Hell, look, everybody on here, they keep things where they are. I know you got some people that's like, man, I can't wait to watch her. I want to know what she did. I want to know what she's going to say. But you know what? Again, you putting the word up. It's going to work for you one way or the other. Whether or not people want to hear it just to talk about it, or people want to hear it to learn something, or people want to hear it to respect you, and people want to hear it because they love you. You know, it's going to come in all different angles like that. You know, that's why I always share, like, sticks and stones can break your bones, but names can't hurt you. You can't let them hurt you no more. You can't worry about what people think about it. You know, they come on with the negativity. This is authentic on this show, baby. You know what I mean? And it's all talking real. It's talking grown up, and it's talking live. You know what I mean? And it has definitely, I'm definitely comfortable with it. You know, and the ones of you that keep coming on and keep showing up, you comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't let the devil come in and try to get in between us and what we doing, because we fighting him off. You know what I mean? So we going to keep on doing what we do. You know? It's like a virtual group. Absolutely, Nat. That's my girl, y'all. That's my that girl listening. You hear me? That girl building that bear, boy. You keep on doing what you're doing, baby girl. Because it ain't easy to build a bear, but you're doing a great job at it. You everything you saying is touching the heart, hon. You know what I mean? I hear you. I know that. I hear you and know I love you. You know what I mean? You know, you doing exactly, you know, what it takes to do to get better. You know, so keep doing what you're doing, love. I'm so proud of you. I really am. You know, thanks for the amen, Rosetta. You know, and I'm gonna get ready to let you guys go. You know, at least we got it in and we got it on, and I feel good. You know what I mean? I shared a lot and I released a lot. You know, and this was just the perfect time to do it. You know, but if you can look at me and look at my face, you don't see no shame. You know what I mean? You don't see any upset face. You see a face of joy and a face of happiness. You know what I mean? Just to even let you know what's happening, because I'm telling you, this type of thing happens all the time. It does. When I'm talking about the situation with my son, it's happening. It's happening a lot. You know what I mean? But live in your truth. You know what I mean? Get in your truth. You know what I'm saying? Don't hold truth back from somebody else, even when it's presented to you. Help them. You know, help that person. I couldn't be selfish, because at the beginning I was being selfish because I thought about my feelings. Like, it was like taking a knife and stabbing it. Y'all saw me in my gut and just pushing it in and in and in. You know what I mean? But God totally started drilling, bringing it right on out. You know what I mean? When I start making sense of the sense. You know what I mean? And pray. And kept praying and asked God, you know, to please help me with this and make this what it's going to be and fix this, please. And I gave it to him and I left it with him. And here I am today. You know what I mean? Knowing that he works. You know? So I'm going to leave live with this tonight, that God is so good. He is such a powerful being. He is such a great God. He's just magnifying. You know what I mean? And I know this and I feel this, and he just come through every time. Every time he comes through, you know. So accepting him in my life is the best thing and the greatest thing I could have ever done to find who Tracy Allen really is. You know what I mean? And to continue to dig deep and find even more, you know, in me, and show me more things that I can do to help somebody else who suffers with the same, you know, life and situation that I do. You know, so with that, y'all, I'm going to say peace. You know what I mean? Get ready for the event. Share this live. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I can get some more of the balance of the, I apologize for that, on the YouTube, but they're coming. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, really, you know, going to let anything bother me on that, because I've been blessed so much for the ones that's there. You know what I mean? And for the volunteer, you know, that helps me with that. You know, but as long as I could pop up and come on this live, you know, these lives will show up on YouTube, you know, and I save them all myself too. You know what I mean? So, and I can always throw them right back up on this screen as well. You know, so, you know, I hope everybody has a blessed night. You know what I mean? And can't wait to put on your Sunday best and come and, you know, walk the purple carpet, you know. And anybody else, like I said, that wants a ticket, I have like at least 8 of them. because I just did 2 more, and I had 10 because some people had to give tickets back. I wanted these tickets back by the 15th, no later than the 20th, because this thing is next week and I don't want to have to be dealing, at the door and all that kind of stuff. I want this thing to go right. I want it to go beautifully, and if the 10 tickets don't sell, I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? If it would be just me and the honorees, I would be happy with that too. All it takes is one. You know what I mean? So y'all have a great night. Pray. Let's put prayers up for Katanya. And hope that everything is okay and everything is all right with her. I love that girl. You know what I mean? She means a lot to me. So we all know that disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and sometimes you don't even have to be using, but it gets you thinking. You know what I'm saying? So everybody pray, still pray for the world because it's going buck wild and crazy. I was telling somebody, make y'all laugh before I get off. I said, man, they bombed Trump. You know what I mean? I'm going because we right next to his damn house. You know what I'm saying? Washington right up the road. We ain't going to make it out of Delaware, y'all. So I'm telling you, get those barricades ready. You follow what I'm saying? This dude is going crazy. You know what I mean? He want to be a part of the war now, So, y'all, let's live one day at a time. And, you know what I mean? Enjoy the days that we are given, and love each other and love on each other. So I'm going to get off this thing right now. I still got work to do for our beautiful event next week. So I thank y'all. I thank y'all a lot. I will go by closing in a serenity prayer. God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Denise, please call me, after this live, okay? I would appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you, and have a great night, y'all. I'll see you next week.